This is David Waters with Gators Breakdown, bringing you a preview of a Gators Breakdown Plus chat. If you want to join Gators Breakdown Plus and take part in chats like these, link is in the description below to join. 2009, and look, someone that can stem off of, and I know one of the most popular ones, and it was already brought up, Cam Newton, of course, getting dismissed. That was being part of the '08 team right there. So it doesn't really have too much of effect. I think Tebow comes back anyway in 2009, but that maybe sets up the transition from 9 to 10 to be a whole lot easier. But yeah, I mean, 2009, Florida, of course, defending national champions. And I remember coming out of that stadium after beating Oklahoma, and me and my dad reached the truck, and I was like, man, this team, and look, it was pretty foregone conclusion that Percy Harvin was going to come back or go to the NFL. But, the question of Tebow was coming back or not, was still there. But I think we all knew he may be leaning towards coming back just because he needed some more seasoning as a quarterback, and he just loved the University of Florida. But I remember walking out of that stadium, getting in my truck and telling my dad, I was like, man, this whole team is pretty much back next year besides Percy Harvin. And, it was, of course, that's the easy way to go about things and say, Florida should be able to repeat. And I think Alabama was, 2008. Well, I don't know if we knew that was going to be the start of the Bama dynasty like it was. I don't think we, or at least at me, I want to speak for you guys, but didn't know at the time that was going to be the start of it, that this was going to be some dominant stretch for Nick Saban starting in 2008. But I knew they'd be a force, but not anything like that. But then, of course, 2009 rolls around and everything's kind of clunky and Florida's still scoring 30, 35 points a game, but it didn't look as good as
First
08.
Harvin effect.
Yeah. And, of course, go and lose to Alabama in Atlanta, and Meyer has the chest pains and unretires, and yeah. I mean, what if Meyer could just handle that better? I think you can kind of maybe transition that to 2010 a little bit, Bull Gator. Maybe Florida doesn't take such a far step back in 2010. Ends up being Myers last year, and the locker room troubles Florida had as well in 2010. If the Cam Newton thing doesn't happen, he's your quarterback in 2010. Maybe transition into that storyline of it a little bit as well. What if he doesn't throw the laptop out the window and gets dismissed at Florida? Yeah, how much does that change everything? Is Cam Newton good enough? And probably is if you look at what he did at Auburn. In making up, he carried that team. We had Gene Chiswick on Gators Breakdown, and he mentioned there was a few players there, but we all know that was a Cam Newton led team, and he's the reason Auburn wins the national championship in 2010. So no matter what Urban Meyer is dealing with in unretiring, coming back, trying to delegate more, not necessarily sure how to handle that. Maybe Cam Newton's so good that those things still exist, but he's that good enough to carry the team, and that gives Florida some time to figure some things out. It gives Urban Meyer some time to figure things out. Is he at Florida longer? Does he stick around a little bit longer because Cam Newton just carried Urban Meyer to another national championship?
Well, as I remember the situation with Cam, the laptop gets a lot of the headlines.
Yeah.
But from what I recall, he also had 3 honor code violations that were pending at the time he left. So those were a big deal. And that was, I think, over his head. And I think the laptop thing was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I think if that was it on its own, I mean, we know the rumors, whether they're true or not, about other players on the team that supposedly were engaged in less than legal activities that got swept under the rug. So I don't know that would have been the reason that he left on its own. He left on his own, but I think losing that game was what really was the nail in the coffin for Urban Meyer. He could take the stress as long as he was winning.
Yeah.
But like Corey said, it was the Percy Harvin thing. If Percy if we were struggling with anybody, just give the ball to Percy and he will find a way to win. Like if the only game my wife ever saw with Tebow was Arkansas. We struggled in that game. Finally, at the end, they said, give the ball to Percy. We won the game.
Talking about the 06 SEC championship game?
No, not the '06 champ. The one where Arkansas came to the swamp.
He wasn't on the team in '09, though.
Was it? Was that it?
Yeah.
I thought it was that. It's '08 that they came.
No, because Deontay Thompson is the one that saved the '09 game.
Oh, okay. Well, my mistake. But I think if you remember what Saban said, he basically indicated that Bama spent the whole year getting ready for Florida because they knew that in Atlanta they were going to play Florida again. And Florida just, I think, came in expecting to win without our secret weapon, which was I always thought that Percy was the best player I saw in Florida, better than Tebow.
Me too.
Without him, it just wasn't. We just didn't have the horses, I think, at wide receiver to beat them.
Percy is way better of an athlete than anybody we've ever had.
I mean, we still call it the Percy position. Urban Meyer still calls it the Percy position. He goes to Ohio State and he's selling the Percy position. So that's how special that number 1 was, and number 8 for a little while early in his tenure.
On Twitter, you'll see all these people putting together lists. Who was the most exciting player you ever saw in college football? And you'll see Peter Warrick and Reggie Bush. And I always said, any list that doesn't have Percy Harvin on it means you haven't watched enough college football. Yeah,
and we it came out this past week, right, that Urban Meyer says he's the best player he's ever coached.
Yeah. Who knows what would have happened to him had he not had those issues, whatever they were, whether it was marijuana, whether it was headaches, who knows, in the NFL. He might have been a Hall of Famer. So
going back to that time, I'm kind of going through the thread that we had that I posted this morning, and hey, everybody thanks for keeping in that thread. That was some good conversation there. But Dirty Hearted did post, kind of going back to that time we just talked about, Florida losing to Alabama in 2009, could have been back to back. So then throw in the Cam Newton side of that, and if he takes over in 2010, I mean, could Florida really have went back to back to back from 08 to 09 to 10, if they beat Alabama in 2009? Because I'm sorry, if Cam Newton takes Auburn in 2010 to a title, he's taking Florida to a title in 2010.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that to me, because if you look at it, that 2010 team at Florida was a much better team, missing a quarterback. I don't want to speak bad on anybody, but that was not a good quarterback. It would have been easy, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, circumstances happen.
Yeah, and of course it's hard, but this is, we're having fun here. What if? I mean, if Florida.
What if? I mean, you think about the team that we have and the talent that was there. It was just quarterback away from another national championship.
Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month. Get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to gatorsbreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today.